In this video, we are going to see how to play the Caro Kann defense exchange variation, and I will also show you some common traps that arises in this variation that you can use to defeat your opponents in just a few moves. So it begins with the move e4, then you play c6, d4, then you go for d5. And here he plays e takes d5. Now here you generally take, but we'll play a tricky variation which is knight f6. Now here he takes this pawn as well, then you just take. White can play the following moves: knight to f3 and bishop b5. These two are quite normal. Since this pawn is also attacked twice, you can also go for bishop e3 or something like c3 as well. Let's cover each of them. First, if you place bishop b5, pinning the knight to the king, then you can play queen d5, hitting this bishop and this pawn. So knight c3 is bad because you can just take this pawn. So he takes, but then you can take with the queen and continue as you play. And after something like knight f3 preparing to castle, you can just pin his knight and continue the game. And here, if you play something like bishop e3, defending this pawn, then you will go e5 striking in the center because he cannot push this pawn forward, otherwise he will take. And if he tries to take, then he will trade the queens and then go for this move, hitting the bishop and also threatening to take this pawn. Knight f3, well then you can pin this knight, and as you can see, you are putting a lot of pressure on white and you are winning here. Therefore, he might try c3. Well then again you have e5, again he can't push, so knight to f3. Then e4 hits the knight. And now here after he moves the knight back, you can just develop your pieces and continue your game. Now let's look at white's main response, knight to f3, developing the knight and defending this pawn. Then you can just play e4, striking in the center. Now here he can take, there's also knight takes, and there's again c3 and bishop e5. These are all common responses. First of all, if he takes, then again you trade the queens and then you go for knight to g4, threatening a fork on f2 to fork the king and the rook. So he got to play something like bishop e3 or king to e1. If you place king to e1, then you can develop this bishop, threatening this pawn. So he got to play something like this. Then you can take, and after he takes, you can take, and you have created an isolated pawn, which is a long-term weakness for white. And if bishop e3, then you can just take, and after he takes, as you can see, you have created double pawns, and this is your continuation on the next move. So what if he doesn't place d takes e5, but knight takes e5? Now here capturing this knight is bad because after he takes, you trade the queens. You go here for example, threatening this and this. Then he can play bishop e5 check, and after that he will trade the bishop and play king here, and after you take, you are down a pawn, which is not good in the endgame. So here, you gotta play queen takes d4. He takes, then you also take, threatening a fork on c2, so bishop d3, then you play bishop f5, offering a trade, so he takes, then you also take, and after he castle, you are going to again play knight to d4 to threaten this fork, knight c3, and if he goes for a move like this, well then you can take, and after he takes, black is quite better here. And here if you place knight c3, then you develop the bishop threatening to take. So let's say you place something like knight to d1, well then you can just take this pawn and continue the game. But what if here he plays c3, then again you can just push this pawn and attack. How about bishop b5, pinning the knight to the king? Then you have bishop g4, pinning his knight. If he takes, then you will just take with the pawn, and let's say he takes here, then again you take, and then you long castle here, and black is better. But what if he castle here? Well then you can push this pawn, and after he tries to counter attack you, well then you can take, and after he takes, you can just move your queen, develop the bishop, and castle, and attack white, as his castling is broken. So if you want to learn some more missing chess openings like these, then you can check out this playlist. And if you want to learn some chess traps to win in a few moves, then you can check out this right playlist. And if you don't want to miss the upcoming videos, then don't forget to subscribe.